It's cold out there. A winter weather advisory posted this morning with freezing rain. Yes, it's very slippery. It was an ice rink yesterday. I appreciate y'all for giving me the grace and being patient. I was not going to be able to make it in yesterday morning. We had updates for you about the ice on the roads and the bridges. So that's the case again this morning. It's a little better than yesterday, though. It is a little better than yesterday. It's mainly wet. I don't think it got as cold as folks thought that it was going to get. There is still a lot of cancellations, closures, delays that you can check out on cities99.com. But yeah, very slippery. The sidewalks are slippery. There's ice on the road, specifically the bridges. So be careful. That could impact your morning commute. Stay tuned for closings, cancellations, delays. There is going to be some patchy fog too, so that could impact your morning commute. So now that we're past all the snow and freezing rain, we've got to deal with the fog because it's going to get the temps are going to go up to about 37 degrees today, and we're going to have some rain, but mainly before 9 a.m. and then it's going to stop for a little bit, and then we'll have rain again tonight. There's going to be areas of fog in the morning, early in the morning tomorrow, so be careful. There is going to be quite a bit of rain. So I think the precipitation amounts are anywhere between tenth and a quarter of an inch possible. So be careful. District 87 this morning, they're remotely learning. Hayworth, due to the anticipated travel conditions, I heard that their roads kind of suck because they're rural and the side streets aren't um, salted. So Hayward students, they're going to be learning remotely. Heartland Community College, all HCC locations have a delayed start this morning. So 10 a.m. is when Heartland Community College students will be back at school today. And then Illinois State University closed. Wesleyan University, they are um, they are going to open at 10 a.m. So yeah, Unit 5, they've got an e-learning day today as well. So go check out the cancellations, closures, and delays all on cities929.com. We've got so much to get to today. I'm very excited because we've got so much news uh, to plow through. I'm very excited to talk about DeSantis. DeSantis influencers. They were a huge part of his demise, folks. Okay, and I'm glad I called Ron DeSantis scum, and if he would have stayed in this race any longer, I mean, it would show me his true colors. Finally, in the game of chess where you're supposed to put down the king if you know that you're beat, uh, DeSantis finally did that. So let's hope Ron can rein in these influencers, rein in his supporters, and unite to try to beat these crazies, these bunch of incompetents that we've got in charge right now. Hopefully, he can unite these people. We are going to talk about this company. They have a new chapstick out that tastes like ranch dressing, and fans are losing their minds over it. So, we're going to chat about that. I think it's a funny story for your Tuesday morning. And the World Economic Forum. Okay, Klaus Schwab, they were all at Davos, Switzerland, and they get together for the World Economic Forum. And Klaus Schwab said that he wants to take your right to vote away because AI is better at predictions than democracy. So when they say, "Oh, you're against democracy, you're voting for Donald Trump," no, 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 no. Klaus Schwab, the Democrats, the globalists, they want to actually take your vote away from you and give it to AI because AI is better at predictions. And yes, Klaus Schwab said that. As always, I'm live on the Morning Buzz, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. You can always find me there. Now, let's get into it. I'll start with the chapstick story just to lighten things up, get us ready for the morning here. I can think of a million flavors for chapsticks that would taste good. I like bubblegum. I have a chapstick that's mint flavor, and I kind of enjoy that. When it comes to cosmetics and skincare, the masses tend to lean towards something sweet rather than savory, right? Uh, that's just how humans have adapted over time. We just lean towards sweet. We keep sweet things on our lips if we're doing chapstick. But Burt's Bees, they disagreed and they broke massive barriers with this one, folks, because subsequently my faith in humanity has reached a whole new level of disappointment, and a disappointment that I could never imagine. Burt's Bees, they released the following four new flavors of chapstick. We've got ranch, carrots, buffalo, and celery. Gross. It's just so nasty. Yes, we all see what they did there, and it's wrong. These crimes are against buffalo wings, and it's unlikely this Burt's Bees company is going to be held accountable for these actions. According to CNN this morning, it all started as an April Fool's joke. Ended up it ended up in a as a real life product popular enough to sell out in one day. So they sold out of all of these flavors in just one day. So Burt's Bees and Hidden Valley Ranch, they announced this unusual collaboration, a set of lip balms that taste like a basket of chicken wings. So, like I said, the four flavors we got buffalo sauce, crunchy celery, fresh carrot, and of course, the trademarked Hidden Valley Ranch flavor. The lip balm reminds customers of some of America's classic dishes, like a basket of chicken wings. Just apply to your lips if you dare, but don't eat it. So, actually, on the website, the Birds Bees website, it says not for consumption, obviously. So, the collaboration of nightmares or dreams, according to some of these reviews, people like this stuff. They sold out on the Burt's Bees website. So all four flavors, I think they were going for like 11.99, which is super expensive for chapstick, but they sold out. And I'm kind of shocked that they did. I can't believe there's people out there that like this sort of thing. I know we want to resort to, name calling or like calling this fake news, especially because it's CNN, right? I got this article from CNN. But shockingly, that's not the case. It's not fake news. Chicken wings, look, folks, they're meant to be eaten. I know that's a hot tag. Nothing more, nothing less. This is truly an abomination, and I cannot even comprehend how this kind of thing is legal. The fact that people are walking around with their lips tasting like ranch and like carrots, it's revolting. And I don't think that I'm ever going to be able to grasp this and fully understand. So I got I got into it on a rabbit hole. And I started reading the reviews. One woman, she says, "I'm on a diet, and this is a perfect way for me to stay on track. I love the smell of ranch dressing and the taste, and just having that available on my lips would help me stay focused on my diet goals. No, this has nothing to do with my lips, but the product is amazing for that as well." So that's what this one product review read. Another one, and try not to completely lose your marbles or lose your breakfast this morning with this one. So here's a product review. The juicy celery along with the crunchy carrot is out of this world, and correspondence with a zesty punch of wild buffalo is true perfection. And on top of all of that, with the classic Hidden Valley Ranch, just amazing. I'm absolutely jubilated that I exist in a world with this. So, the moral of the story, don't take chicken wings for granted because some bird minded company is going to come along and ruin an American staple that we all cherish. And that is a basket of chicken wings. All right, I'm live YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Time to get into some real news here, folks. I do want to chat about Ron DeSantis, his influencers, and how they were a big part of his demise. We're going to get to that, but first, I do want to talk about artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence is believed to be at the behest of programmers. Okay, anytime you hear AI, it's not like this magical thing where it runs on its own. AI is programmed by people, programmers. And as it stands, AI is dangerously woke. Okay, these programmers who are programming AI, they are dangerously woke. Klaus Schwab, who has an opinion about everything, was elected by no one, by the way. He says it's time to say bye-bye to democracy. Uh, and that democracy should really just be left up to AI, and AI should make our decisions for us come every election cycle. He went as far as to claim that AI can predict the future. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play this clip for you. This is Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum. And remember, Klaus Schwab, he's not elected by anybody, but has an opinion on it, everything and anything. And he wants to control every little aspect of your life. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
Digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be. Digital technologies main.
There's Schwab. What does that even mean? So here's the quote. The next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you don't even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict enough to say, why do we need to have elections? See, the New York Times, Atlantic, they all published headlines that read, why do we need to have an elections? Make no mistake, folks, we will no longer have elections. Probably in the next couple of years. They are going to build this thing out to where AI does our elections for us. Uh, None of this makes sense. I'm going to be back unpacking this. Plus, we've got to talk about Ron DeSantis, and I've got so much more planned for us this morning. There was a woman. She was trying to poison her husband. She's a teacher. She was charged with attempted murder, allegedly captured on video, adding a toxic plant to her husband's smoothie. That's crazy. Hollywood, they just announced that they are making a woke and inclusive version of It's a Wonderful Life, because nothing is sacred anymore. And Hollywood decided to ruin It's a Wonderful Life. And a little bit later, we're going to watch this clip. Joy Reid, she is made to look even more stupid by Moms for Liberty co-founder, because she's refusing to condemn the pornography, the pedophilia that is on the shelves in these schools, in these school libraries, in public libraries. Joy Reid, she looks real stupid in this clip. So we're going to get to all of that here on The Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're going to take a quick break, hopefully soon here, if I can do this. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to be back in about 5 minutes. Mm, 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 mhm. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning. Today's Tuesday, so in the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Mike Coolidge for Patriot Plug. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to be visiting with Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus, and he's got some tax tips for us. So, but before I get into Klaus Schwab here, I do want to say this. Winter storms, they continue to ravage our area. So please do me a favor and help out the plow operators. Turn your lights on when meeting a snowplow. Move over to the right as far right as you feel safe doing. Don't tailgate the plow truck, right? And if you can't see the plow mirrors, it's a pretty good sign that the operator can't see you. So again, thanks to all the plow operators out there for your sacrifices while I'm tucked in nice and cozy, snug in bed. Some of Illinois' finest are out there working to keep the roads safe. The roads aren't too bad today. Very wet, icy on the bridges. There is a winter weather advisory posted this morning for freezing rain. This makes for very slippery sidewalks, icy roads. Yesterday was just terrible. Olympia School District canceling school for today. And, they've got all kinds of closures, cancellation schools in the central Illinois area, Leroy, Unit 5, District 87. If you want the complete list, head to cities99.com. Before we took the break, we were talking a little bit about Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab, he's got an opinion about everything. And look, nobody elected this guy to have that opinion. Okay. Uh, and now he wants us to say goodbye. You can kiss democracy goodbye because he thinks that AI should be making decisions for us when it comes to elections. And I played the clip for you. None of it makes sense. No matter how much Schwab tries to convince the masses that AI is psychic, we know the dang thing is not God. AI is not God. And it's comical, it's asinine that he thinks we should just take these people's word for it. That, yeah, I remember AI, it's not this magical thing that just happened. It is designed by programmers, programmed by programmers. People program AI. Okay. And it's comical. It's asinine that he thinks that we should just take these people's word for it, that AI is the best thing. AI is programmed by people. People can program to have it predict whatever they want, whatever those people want, whatever the outcomes they want. They can program it to where they can have AI predict their outcomes. So this is painfully infuriating. It's evil, and I really hope that no one buys this crap from Klaus Schwab. It's crazy that the left wants us, to believe that God is some sort of fantasy while they attempt to make AI our God. This is just pure evil. AI serves one master at any time. That's the programmer. That master can change by the millisecond. It could be the engineers, it could be a hacker, it could be a shareholder. It doesn't matter. These people want us to believe that AI is perfect and it can't do no wrong, and it can never do anything wrong. So words can't describe my disgust for the World Economic Forum. They want to take democracy away and they want to give it to AI to predict the outcomes of your election. So I guess AI, they know better than you, and AI knows better than you and who you'd vote for. So you should just let AI do it. So Klaus Schwab says we know what the results will be. Yeah, I'm sure he would know what the results would be. He'd have AI pick whatever leader. Uh, you demand it to if you were to have it your way. Okay, so Klaus Schwab, if he were to have his way, he would pick whatever leader he wants in whether that be Joe Biden, whether that be him, right? Uh, I know Schwab is an arrogant tyrant who's trying to rule all the nations, but unfortunately for him, there will be one ruler for all of Earth, and it will not be anybody from the World Economic Forum. I can tell you that for certain. Okay, so this is just bizarro. They want AI to determine our elections. And make no mistake, this is the ploy. This is their plan because Atlantic, they published the headline, "Do elections really matter?" New York Times, "Why have elections?" These are actual headlines here in America. And if you don't think it's coming to America, you'd be wrong. Um, AI is programmed by people, and people can program AI to predict whatever they want AI to predict. So, with that, I do want to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about Ron DeSantis dropping out, endorsing Donald Trump, and he actually blasts Nikki Haley as well. Ron DeSantis does, and I'm glad that he did this, folks. I'm glad that he dropped out because it's just it's a gross thing when you don't have sportsmanship, okay? Where in the game of chess, I say this all the time. In the game of chess, when you know you're beat, you're supposed to lay down your king and you're supposed to, lose with grace. And finally, I mean, it took him a while to, kind of see the writing on the wall here, to admit the inevitable, but he did the right thing in the end. And for that, I'm glad. But that doesn't change my mind. I do think that it was scummy for Ron DeSantis to stay in the race this long and to not lose with grace. But finally, he admits the inevitable and he finally laid down that king on the chessboard and he said, you know what? I'm going to be endorsing Donald Trump. So we're going to talk about that. Plus, Joy Reid makes herself look super stupid, more stupid than I think. I mean, we all know, right? If you're listening to this program, you know that Joy Reid is one of the most stupid people in media and probably on the planet. And I yeah, I just can't believe she came out here, and it's not just me saying that she's the worst. I mean, she actually has the worst rated news channel or TV show on cable. Okay, this story that I'm about ready to give you here in just a couple of minutes, this is why nobody watches her show. This is why she's not watched. This is why, it's not really an opinionated statement to say that Joy Reid is one of the worst hosts on TV. It's not really it's provable by fact because not surprisingly, she has the worst rated news, I'm using air quotes there, channels on cable. So I'm going to be back in just a little bit. You're listening to The Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in each and every morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yesterday, I did have a best of plugged in. I'm sorry, but thank you for your patience. As you know, I live in Lincoln, so it's a bit of a hike out here for me, and it was just an ice rink. I mean, I tried to get on the road, and I was like, I don't know about that. So it's a little bit better today. The roads are super wet and there's a lot of ice on the bridges. So be careful out there. There is a winter weather advisory for freezing rain, and there's a ton of school cancellations. Like District 87 is remotely learning, Unit 5 is remotely learning, Olympia schools, same thing. So check it out on cities929.com for all of your closures, cancellations, and delays. We've got a one-stop shop for you if you want to know what's canceled, what kind of closures there are. They even canceled the Bloomington City Council meeting last night, and they've rescheduled it, I believe, for Wednesday. So we're going to chat a little bit later about a teacher charged with attempted murder, allegedly captured on video adding a toxic plant to her husband's smoothie. Yes, this actually happened. Not surprisingly, another teacher has done something evil, but this time it was off school grounds. A man, he set up this hidden camera in his home because he thought his wife might actually be messing with his smoothies. So we're going to get to that story in just a little bit, find out what happens. Also, Hollywood, they are making a woke and inclusive version of It's a Wonderful Life because nothing is sacred anymore. That is one of my favorite movies. In fact, I will probably go as far to say it's my favorite movie. I do like The Lion King. That will always have a special place in my heart, The Lion King, but this is one of my favorites. It's a Wonderful Life. And they've destroyed it, Hollywood, because they are going to make it woke and inclusive. So we're going to get to that here in just a little bit. But first, I want to talk about Ron. Ron DeSantis dropping out. So yesterday I couldn't talk about it. It was all the rage yesterday, and people have been really upset with me on this program. You'll text in. You can always text in. Let me know your opinion. That's one thing about this show. I give everybody's opinion. I give my opinion, and my opinion is that Ron DeSantis was acting scummy, being in this race because he was trying to come by a win dishonestly. Him not bowing out of the race indicated to me there was no clear path to victory. He said that. And if he would have stayed in that race, that would have meant that he was looking to gain victory in a way that is wrong and undemocratic, where they go after Donald Trump via one of these indictments and they unlawfully toss him off the ballot. Joe Biden is prosecuting his political opponent, and he's trying to get him tossed off the ballot via these indictments. And in America, that's wrong. We don't prosecute, we don't persecute, we don't go after our political opponents. We beat them fair and square in elections. And Ron DeSantis was, I believe, hoping to see Donald Trump or at least some of his advisors, maybe some of the people he was around, was trying to say, "Hey, stay in the race. You never know what's going to happen with Donald Trump and these convictions. He might get convicted with one of these many indictments that he's got against him, and you've got a path to victory that way." And coming by a win dishonestly is and immorally, that's not cool with me, and I think that's very scummy. So I'm glad, I am like overjoyed that Ron DeSantis wasn't listening to people. I'm sure political advisors told him like, "Hey, stay in the race, try to see if Donald Trump gets convicted, and then you'd be president." Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he dropped out though, and that's good. That's good. It shows that he can lose with grace, and it shows that uh, you know, I hate it when I'm playing chess with somebody and they don't put down that king when they know that they're beat. You gotta lose with sportsmanship. So he did that. He said, "Today I'm suspending my campaign. I'm proud to have delivered on 100% of my promises, and I will not stop." Now it's clear to me that the majority of the Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. Duh. That's clear. And I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement. because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear. Yes, Ron takes the high road. And now Trump can get back to going after the Democrats, including Nikki Haley, because she's a Democrat. It took Ron a while to admit the inevitable, but he did the right thing. And I'm just overjoyed that he did the right thing, because I want him to have a political future, because he did such great things for Florida. I'm not going to say that he didn't do great things for Florida. He did bad things in Florida too as a governor. Don't get me wrong. But I'm glad that he's going to have a political future. I think bowing out of this um, now was the only option for him to have that political future. Okay, I do want to shift gears. We're going to talk about this teacher who has done something very evil, and this time it was off school grounds. A man she was trying to, or well, was poisoning her husband. So this husband of hers set up a hidden camera in his own home because he thought that his wife was messing with his smoothies. So it turns out his assumptions were correct, because she was poisoning him by putting this toxic plant into his smoothie. So according to ABC7, a Missouri teacher has been charged with attempted murder after her husband told the police that he believed that she was poisoning him for several weeks, and allegedly captured her adding this toxic plant to his smoothie via video. So this is what court records show. Jefferson City Police, they said that they investigated the allegations of intentional poisoning of a spouse after the suspect's husband contacted them this week. So authorities were notified by the victim that he believed that believed a period of unexplained illnesses, so he was getting sick, were in fact due to an intentional poisoning done by his wife. So Sarah Sheffer, she's 37 years old, of Jefferson City. She was arrested on Wednesday, um, and she was arrested on first-degree domestic assault charge. She has since been charged by Cole County prosecuting attorney with an attempted murder charge in the first degree, and then armed criminal action, both felonies. It's unclear why this woman would do such an evil thing to her husband, but she admitted that she knew the plant was toxic and that it had the potential to kill him. So, in other words, that was her intent. Her intent was to kill him. She admits this. Um, she has been allegedly poisoning him for at least 6 weeks, and he confronted her actually on New Year's Day about this, about the smoothie and why it tasted bitter. And she said at that point on New Year's Day, she said, "Oh, well, I've been urinating in your beverage." And she admitted to putting in industrial strength adhesive in it. So she was urinating in it and putting glue in it, but she didn't mention the poison. Clearly, this woman is evil, deeply disturbed, and I just feel so bad for this poor guy. The plant she used, eventually, she switched over to poisoning him the last couple of weeks. And she used this plant. It's called the lily of the valley, and it could cause cardiac arrest. It could cause like heart palpitations and even death. She reportedly also has a boyfriend in Pakistan, so it may or may not be safe to assume that has something to do with the motive here. But another shocking occurrence is that why on earth would the husband accept smoothies from this psycho? She admitted that she urinated in it, right? And then he continues to get proof, or to get the smoothie from her and to take the smoothie. That alone is proof that you are married to a very evil person, and you don't have to take smoothies from somebody who admits to urinating in it, like ever. You don't have to do that, dude. But hey, at least he seems to be okay. I just hope that justice is served on this one, because it's quite the story, isn't it? 309-451-9299. You can always text me. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll be visiting with Mike Coolidge for Patriot Power Plug. And in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll be visiting with Rick Johnson for Tax Tip Tuesday, because today is Tuesday. I'm back next. Mm. Somebody texted in and they were like, "Wait a second, Kat. I thought Nikki Haley was a Republican. I'm confused. She's actually a Democrat." Yeah. Well, Nikki Haley, she is what I would call a cowboy. Cowboy, Yankee. It's all kind of the same. She's the establishment, and really, she's not a Republican. Okay, she is a Democrat. She's going to get all the Democrats to come vote for her in New Hampshire tonight. And, that's I mean, they can't vote for Joe. Joe Biden isn't on the ballot, right, in their primary. So I bet Democrats, they're gonna try this Operation Chaos where they try to steal the election away from Donald Trump. Uh, it's not gonna happen, folks. I don't think that Democrats have time to really coordinate this effort and to get behind Nikki in that kind of numbers. Remember, Nikki was nowhere near Donald Trump in Iowa during the Iowa caucuses. Ron DeSantis actually came in second, and he was a very distant second, folks. So Donald Trump winning New Hampshire, I'm sure of it. Now, not Nikki, but never Nikki. Hopefully, never Nikki. But these Democrats, they're going to go out and they're going to go vote for Nikki because I actually heard during the Iowa caucuses they ran out of a form. Now, this is the form to switch parties. So, in some states, I don't know if Illinois does this. I don't think it is a state where it's required for you to pull a Republican ballot if you're a registered Republican. Um, but, you have to fill out a form in Iowa if you want to switch. So if you typically vote Democrat or if you're a registered Democrat in the state of Iowa, then in their primary, you have to vote as a Democrat. If you want to switch and you want to vote for a Republican, you have to fill out a form. They ran out of those forms in Iowa. So that means that a lot of Democrats were switching their vote from Democrat votes to Republican votes. They probably came out in large numbers for Nikki. Nikki is a cowboy. When I say Yankees and Cowboys, Yankees, they're like the Hillary Clinton types. Okay, globalists, big money, banks, big finance, right? And then Cowboys are, big Texas oil, military industrial complex. Really, they're all kind of the same, and they all are anti-America. We need an American first president, and that's Donald Trump. So we're gonna have to chat about Ron DeSantis a little bit more because I'm gonna get into the weeds here of this tweet. Now I don't know. I think he's being a whiny sore loser, and this is what why couldn't he just bow out of the race? Why does he have to do this? So there's this tweet by Politico, and Politico says some Florida Republicans want taxpayers to pay for Trump's legal bills. And then he retweets this and he quote tweets it and he says, but not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen. Okay, so, he's taking a stab at Donald Trump with that tweet. He's being kind of a sore loser, and with this tweet, this isn't about legislation. Uh, I think that he's just being a sore loser about this. Ron tweeted this just before Trump went on stage last night, in New Hampshire. There's gonna be a primary. On the eve of the first primary, tonight is the primary in the nation, the first primary in the nation, and you've got Ron out there. I don't think he wants unity. I really don't. And we have to begin to ask ourselves, was this his goal all along? To divide the party? You have to begin to ask yourself, was he an operative to divide the party? I don't know. That tweet, it's disturbing, and it shows, sore loser. It's got sore loser written all over it. Go check it out. Go check out Ron DeSantis's, tweet. He retweeted Politico. I'm back in the 7 o'clock hour. Find me there. Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. I so do appreciate you tuning in. Breaking news. Yesterday it was breaking. The Supreme Court, they voted 5-4, and they are going to allow federal agents to cut the razor wire. Texas actually installed on the U.S.-Mexico border to keep the invasion out. And Amy Coney Barrett and John Roberts, they sided with the Biden administration on this one. And I've got some deep disappointments with the Supreme Court. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall, even here in the state of Illinois. So you have State Representative Dan Calkins' case with the Illinois gun ban, right? And it's very clear, these 2 Illinois Supreme Court justices, they're bought, paid for by Governor J.B. Pritzker. He gave them each $1 million, and he's the defendant in this case. Those justices should have recused themselves. Okay, that's very clear. And they received all kinds of money, not from just Governor J.B. Pritzker, but Senate President Don Harmon, who's, I don't know if he was the defendant in that case, but he's still in that camp, right? I think he might have been named as a defendant in that case, actually. I got to double check. But they received all kinds of money from, anti-gun groups. They had an interest in seeing this case fail. They wanted to side with the state on this because the state gives them money. That's Governor J.B. Pritzker every for them to get elected. And this was a thanks for getting us elected, JB, vote at the Illinois Supreme Court level. Now, the U.S. Supreme Court, they pulled that case and they took a peek at it, but they didn't take it. And here's why. This is truly what I believe. I believe that the U.S. Supreme Court has the same issues, same ethical issues that the Illinois Supreme Court is dealing with. And they did not want to take that case because they knew that they'd have to answer the question, hey, were they acting ethically? And the U.S. Supreme Court probably doesn't want to answer that question because they would have to be held to the same standard. Are you being ethical in your decisions? And who is giving you money? And if you're taking that money, should you be hearing cases or certain types of cases? So, yes, very squishy. Justice Roberts, he kind of goes with however the wind is blowing. So, let's take a listen, or let's come back. We're going to talk with Mike Coolidge for Patriot Power Plug. You're listening to The Morning Buzz. Smash the like button if you're watching. We're back. Woohoo! Hey, this is The Morning Buzz. We've got so much to get to today. I do want to talk about the woke inclusive version of It's a Wonderful Life because nothing is sacred anymore. And Hollywood is making this woke garbage, and I'm kind of disappointed about it. Of course, they had to go and destroy It's a Wonderful Life, the movie. So we'll talk about that. Plus, Joy Reid making herself look more stupid than ever because she agreed to an interview with Moms for Liberty co-founder, and Joy Reid, is refusing on tape to condemn a book about pedophilia. This makes her look very stupid. Very stupid. So we're going to chat about that here in just a few minutes. But before we do that, Patriot Power Plug. It's Tuesday mornings at around 7 o'clock. Mike Coolidge, former congressional candidate, Army officer, and syndicated radio host. He's actually the new executive director for Citizen Farmers, and he's the Ogle County GOP chairman. He joins me now on the air. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Cats. How are you doing?
Doing great.
I see the thumbs up. That means our audio connections are good to go.
Oh, yeah. Sounding nice and clear this morning. Good.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, finally. I'm telling you, we've been working out so many monkeys, different tech monkeys. When it storms, for folks who don't know, I'm peeling back the curtain a little bit. It's a nightmare. I mean, the dish, like, I got to go out there and I've actually got to physically sweep the dish off if it snows because we don't get the reception. So, yeah, it's a nightmare. I hate snow. I hate ice. Can't stand it.
Well, what it should remind our listeners, your listeners, is that radio is always live. It's always real. I mean, sometimes we'll pre-tape things, yada, yada, yada. But what you're listening to right now is live, which is when the weather's bad, always the best place to listen to stuff happening and get the latest on whatever. because it's live. So when you're doing something live, sometimes things happen. Podcasts aren't live. You can record them, you can tweak them, you can keep getting until the stuff is right. So appreciate that this great radio show you're listening to right now is live, and keep listening.
Yes. All right. So let's get into it. I got to talk about Ron. So I just sent you his tweet. You've seen it. Kind of spicy. What was he actually saying in that tweet? I don't think I quite understand. I know it feels like a sly to Donald Trump. Now, I don't think it has anything to do with legislation. I really do think it has everything to do with him being upset that he lost, maybe. I don't know. Your thoughts, Mike?
So the tweet you're talking about is a piece in Politico that says some Florida Republicans want taxpayers to pay Trump's legal bills. And Ron DeSantis quote tweets that, and it's actually Ron DeSantis who says, but not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen, ... Wow. He does have the power to overturn any law that his legislature passes if they don't in turn have the power to override that veto, which in this case they don't. And this law I looked into briefly earlier this morning. It's a brand new law that one guy in the Florida legislature is proposing that's, I think, up to $5 million of Florida taxpayer monies that come out of the campaign fund. It sounds like it's similar to, when you do your taxes and it says, do you want $3 to go to the presidential campaign fund? Or at least it used to say that. I think it still does. Mm-hmm. They have a similar thing in in Florida. And they're saying we can use some of those funds to pay for that, and then voluntarily it can be replenished. So it's not a straight, like, your property taxes and your state income taxes, which I think Florida doesn't even have, are going to pay for Trump's legal bills. I don't think it's a clean-cut thing like that. It's kind of like a moving around money sort of thing. And Ron DeSantis, who's no longer a presidential candidate, who rightfully backed President Trump. I think that was smart for his political career, and it was also smart for the movement. We need President Trump to win, not just the primary, which he obviously will, but the election in November. So yeah, he's on the train, which is great. I think he might be saying, yeah, but I'm still governor of Florida, and I give you what you wanted, Trump, but I'm not just going to roll over for every single darn thing that's going to benefit you here. And whether Trump is going to have his legal bills paid for by the people of Florida or by himself or by campaign contributions, I mean, this isn't one of those hills to die on sort of things. The border and a lot of other things are more important. He might a little bit in a way. And again, I'm just digesting this right now. If I were in his shoes, I would say, Trump, what do you need? Let's talk about this. I mean, do you want me to raise money for you and help you with your legal bills? Ron DeSantis is not a rich man at all, unlike President Trump, but he can raise money maybe. I don't know. But if anything, I think this is hey, I have power. You live in this state. How about you ask me for a favor now because I just gave you a big one? That might be what he's doing here. Just my guess.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think that we've got to start asking the question of, is he going to unite his base, his voters behind, like he said he was going to do, and unite everybody behind Donald Trump. I don't know if he's going to do that, and if he's going to follow through. This is not a good look. I mean, he said this on the eve of the first primary of in the nation. I don't know. I don't like it. It's kind of puts bad taste in my mouth. So it feels a little whiny.
There's a lot of things that Ron DeSantis did that show that he is not a good politician. He's not a good campaigner. He's not a good candidate. You could argue, and Trump himself has said, that he's a pretty good governor of Florida, and he has a good track record of doing things right there. And his slogan of make the country like Florida didn't exactly, catch on. It wasn't that, bold of a statement. I don't think he's not a good politician. And frankly, he might just have terrible political instincts, and this might blow up in his face, like you're saying here. And so who knows? I mean, I think the jury's still out on him, honestly, as far as the future political career goes. The dude's 44 years old, I think, or 45 or 46 or something. He's not that old at all. And he could either go the way of, I don't know, the Bobby Jindals or the Jeb Bushes of the world, who we haven't heard much from since they ran for president, or he could be the front runner for 2028 if he's in Trump's cabinet or something. Trump's famous for healing people. I mean, healing people's. He's not the second coming of. He's not. He's famous for healing political wounds and burying hatchets. Is what I meant to say. And but it takes two to do that, you know. So again, this might be a little power play. DeSantis is like, wait a second. Last I checked, I'm still governor here, and I have a veto pen. Trump, you want something from me? How about you start saying things a little bit nicer about me than you have? I don't know. And in that sense, Trump has said very nice things about DeSantis since he dropped out. He said he's retiring the DeSanctimonious line, and he is welcoming him onto the Trump train. I know a lot of super long-term diehard Trump supporters are not ready to forgive DeSantis for even running yet, but I think we're going to forget about all this in 2 or 3 months. Everyone's going to be on the Trump train, except we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Nikki Haley and her supporters, because she has definitely a lot more not in common with Trump and DeSantis than anyone else, obviously, who's still a viable, on paper anyway, candidate who's not named Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, and what are your thoughts on Nikki Haley getting the Democrat votes? I mean, Joe Biden isn't on the ballot in New Hampshire. Will Democrats show up and vote for Nikki?
Absolutely. Which says a lot about who is supporting her. And it's kind of like here in Illinois, you don't register as a Republican or as a Democrat. You, in this next primary, and me, who are obviously always pulling Republican ballots, could take a Democrat ballot and vote in the Democrat primary on March 19th. The same way, there's no law stopping you from doing that. It'll publicly be known that you did that, but that's the same case in New Hampshire with these primaries. So independents can vote. And Haley, supporters as high as they are, which is not very high, can vote. It's not like DeSantis people are going to Haley. So I think her numbers, this is all to say that her numbers are going to be inflated tonight. If we see her at like Trump 45 and her at like 40, she's going to try to spin it as, see, I'm still in this thing. Let's do it. But the reality is, if she has any good political instincts, her speech tonight will be an announcement that she's dropping out of the race and backing Donald Trump. She has no path to victory, and she needs to throw in the towel tonight. And that would actually be a somewhat gracious, respectable, and politically savvy thing to do. I don't know if she's going to do it, though.
Yeah, I don't know. She might actually try to run as like some sort of alternative to Biden for the Democrats. Because he's really has alienated a lot of his base, because he's pushing for the 2-state solution. Although, don't even get me started on that. With Israel and Palestine, there's already a 2-state solution.
Yes.
Like, you can't push for something that already exists, Joe. But his base does not like that. They want, a complete ceasefire, and they want Palestine to really just take over Israel. That's what they want. And they've showed up to the White House, climbed the fences, and that's his base, and he's alienated his base. So maybe just to, flip the middle finger to Joe Biden, those people will go out and vote for Nikki Haley.
It's very possible, and that just ties in, and I'll keep making this prediction. Just be careful in Chicago. I was just in Chicago yesterday, looking left and right, out my window, which I'd never had to do in almost 20 or over or 20, almost 25 years of living in this state. Watch out for the Democratic National Convention this summer. It is going to be nuts, and it's the pro-Palestinian crazies, the pro-Hamas crazies that have nothing to lose in their mind by causing as much mayhem as possible.
One more thing I wanted to talk about before I let you go, Mike, is the Supreme Court. They're ruling 5-4, Amy Coney Barrett, and then we have Justice Roberts. They all sided with the Biden administration, and they pretty much ruled that it's A-okay for federal agents to come in and cut the razor wire that the Texas law enforcement has been putting up to try to control the invasion. Thoughts there?
Yeah, Governor Abbott, his immediate response, and I think this is the right one as far as fighting goes. He says, we're just going to keep putting up the wire. And because the Supreme Court didn't say Texas cannot put up wire, they simply said that the feds can cut the wire. That's all they said. And so he's saying, okay, and because my first instinct was, ooh, this is getting touchy. You know, the Supreme Court decided, even though I completely disagree with their decision here, as did Gorsuch, Alito, Kavanaugh, and Thomas, all said this is ridiculous that that the feds are being able to remove this wire. The Texas has a right to defend itself, and frankly, the federal government has a duty to protect the United States of America from invasion, which is what this is. But I like Abbott's instincts, and other people should follow suit. In okay, if you're in Texas, what are you doing to stop this invasion? And if there are people putting up concertina wire to stop this, there's no law saying that you can't do that too. I was in the Army for 6 years. I wasn't a combat engineer, but that's their big thing is obstacles, and literal physical obstacles, and making things difficult for your enemy, for an invasion. Concertina wire is chopped through one line of it. You put up 2, you put up 5, you put up 10. Concertina wire, of course, is expensive, so there obviously are limited ways that you can fight this fight, but I think that this is what needs to happen, and you can't just throw up your arms and say, all right, we're being invaded, and I guess let them all in. No, this fight is not over by any stretch, and it needs to continue.
Yeah, and I'm disappointed with the justices, and I've been disappointed in the U.S. Supreme Court for a couple of weeks now. The catalyst here was, of course, the ruling here in the state of Illinois, where we had Dan Calkins' case, where it went before the U.S.
Dan's
Supreme
a friend.
Court. Yeah, and it was a great case. Like I thought, these justices had $1 million donated each to their campaigns, and the guy who donated those millions of dollars to their campaigns was the defendant in the case.
Yeah.
And it was so
that'd be
clear.
Governor Pritzker. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. This is very, very clear that this was at least a feeling of bias, right? And there's Caperton, right, where it says, hey, even if there's the presence of bias or like the appearance of bias, then we need to remove
You recuse yourself. Exactly. You don't vote. It's a giant conflict of interest. It's corruption, frankly. And, but they just look at us and laugh and say, haha, we won. What you gonna do?
Yeah. What you gonna do about it? And it's like, I think I was just chewing on this all week, and I'm like, what if the U.S. Supreme Court, they didn't want to answer for their ethical issues? What if the same thing is going on at the highest level, the U.S. Supreme Court? I don't know. I think that they should be making more of a fuss when it comes to, Joe Biden going outside of their ruling when it comes to the student loan issue. There's a lot of things that I think that they could have been a lot stronger on, but I don't know.
Means we got to get a Republican president in and a Republican Senate so that we can get even more Supreme Court justices. So even if we lose a Barrett or a Roberts, we've got 5 solid conservatives on the court.
Mm-hmm.
Reliably conservative.
Thank you so much. And let me know where we can find out more about you, folks.
Yes.
Go
No,
ahead,
no. Just saying. Yes, I appreciate that. I'm sorry. This microphone is loud. Coolidge on Twitter, and Mike at citizen-farmers.com is my new email address. Mike at citizen-farmers.com.
Tell me about Citizen Farmers.
We are not about farming. We're about farming citizens to engage locally in their communities. And yes, we are not shy about being a right-of-center organization. You're going to hear a lot more about us soon. We've been around for about 2 years, and it's an awesome organization that encourages people to become actively engaged in local issues, local politics, as much as humanly possible. And you can email me if you're interested in becoming a member of Citizen Farmers. It's a restricted membership, and we also have a separate thing that is getting into longer term plans about being conservative TED Talks. So you've seen TED Talks, but these are more right of center TED Talks that we have planned. But there's a lot of awesome things that we do on Zoom and in person. Citizen Farmers is our website, but it's Citizen-Farmers. It doesn't have to do with farmers. It's about farming great citizens, maybe like some of your listeners.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Mike Coolidge. You have a great rest of your day, and thanks for joining the program.
Take care, Kat.
All right, folks, we're going to be back here in just a little bit, and we're going to be chatting about this woke film. It's a woke inclusive film that they're doing a reboot of It's a Wonderful Life. Stay tuned. Hey folks, if you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. Let me know you're watching in the comments section, and go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929. A little bit later, we'll be chatting about Ron DeSantis and the influencers, and they had a huge part in his demise. Also, we're going to talk about Joy Reid. She looks super stupid on her show, which is even stupider. I can't decide what's more stupid, her show or Joy Reid. But the Moms for Liberty co-founder made her look stupid because she got Joy Reid to not condemn pedophilia. So all of that and more here on the Morning Buzz. Go ahead and smash the like button. We're back. It's cold out there. Good morning, folks. This is the Morning Buzz, and you can always find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. I'm there. Big shout out to the plow drivers and the plow operators today. While you're all tucked in bed, they're out there and they're working to keep the roads safe. I hope you get to where you're going safely. There is a winter weather advisory posted for this morning, freezing rain. It makes it very slippery, icy. The bridges are really icy. It's kind of more wet than anything else because I don't think it got as cold as what they had originally thought that it was going to get down to. I thought it was going to get much, much colder and then we would just have this freeze. But it was just wet this morning. The road or the bridges are very icy. So stay safe out there. And thank some snowplow operators if you know them for their sacrifices, and they make some sacrifices so that way we can get to where we're going. And I pray that God gets you to your destination safely and on time. That's a big one too. It's great to be on time. All right, communists, they don't create much of anything and they tend to destroy nearly everything they touch. And because Hollywood is filled with a bunch of degenerate communists with no talent, it's not shocking to learn that they have now taken a classic and a timeless fan favorite, and they're now going to remake it or reboot it, I guess, into something more woke and something more inclusive. They're going to make a woke inclusion or woke and inclusive version of It's a Wonderful Life, which we all know will be very sad since there has never been a woke remake of anything that's better than the original. Not once. There has never been a time where the woke remake is better than the original. So the Blackish creator, Kenya Barris, is planning on remaking It's a Wonderful Life through the lens of wokeness. According to Fox News, we've got it here. Kenya Barris, the creator of the popular sitcom, I'm using air quotes here. I've never heard of it. It's called Blackish. I think it's like a DEI TV show. Kenya, he confirmed that he's going to be remaking the 1946 film with Paramount, telling the same story through the lens of a colored person, a person of color. Sorry. I just, wow, this is, so this is what he told Variety. Barris did. I feel like Christmas movies are amazing, and I think the idea of taking something that has a long history and a tale behind it and putting an amazing piece of talent to that story. It's a guy who's trying to help out his community in It's a Wonderful Life, and things are going to turn around on him, and I think it's a perfect story to tell for a person of color, black or brown, to get into that because our communities have some issues and someone trying to help that community out. I think that's a perfect vehicle to tell that story from that perspective, a black or brown person. So obviously, these people lack talent, um, and these people lack the talent they would that would even be able to attempt to make something like the original It's a Wonderful Life. They didn't make the original It's a Wonderful Life because they lack talent. And again, there's never been a remake in the history of remakes that was better than the original. Okay, especially when it does this thing where they try to appease the woke mob, they try to do this DEI thing. It's extremely embarrassing, and you would think that people, at some point, people in Hollywood would catch on that catch on to that these remakes don't do well, but they just keep doubling down. Why do they keep doubling down on this? Nobody likes these woke remakes. Nobody likes the inclusive remakes. The two reasons why remakes always consistently bomb are because no one gets to see a movie in order to be lectured, or no one wants to go see a movie to be lectured by rich movie producers and actors who live these degenerate lifestyles. They're always high on coke. Nobody wants to be lectured by those people, okay? And also because no one is selected for their roles based on talent. Okay, no actor is based on their role is not chosen because of their talents. It's selected based on skin color. Okay, so the movie sucks. Combined with bad acting, woke lecturing, there's no reason why anybody would prefer a virtue signaling mess over the classics. But because people like Barris, like this guy, the sitcom producer of the Blackish sitcom, because people like this guy lack all original thought, and he likely is jealous of people who produce something so significant in cinema, something like It's a Wonderful Life. He's decided to make a mockery of it because he's jealous, and he can't even dream of producing something like It's a Wonderful Life because he lacks originality. He lacks talent. Okay, most people listening to this show, we know that Joy Reid sucks, and she's one of the worst TV hosts in history, and she is the worst TV host. And that's not an opinionated statement from me, Kat, the Morning Buzz. That's a provable fact. Okay, not because that's a provable fact because according to ratings, she's the worst rated news, air quotes, news channel on cable. I'm going to be back with that story. She made herself look real stupid. That's next on the Morning Buzz. Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Grab your cup of coffee, sit down at the breakfast table, take a sip. Let's chat. Let's have a conversation about Joy Reid. I know you're like, "Oh, God, it's raining outside. It's icky outside. Have we got to talk about Joy Reid?" Well, yeah, we do, because she's one of the worst hosts on TV, and that's actually a fact. It's not an opinion right here on the Morning Buzz given by Cap Peterson. It's a fact because, not surprisingly, she has one of the worst rated news channels on cable. And this story is exactly why nobody watches her joke of a show. So Tiffany Justice, she is a co-founder of Moms for Liberty, and she agreed to do an interview with Joy Reid. And that's what they agreed to do, but that's not what happened. The segment ended up being Reid condoning these books with abhorrent, deranged, and evil content, like the rape of a child by a teacher, saying that it should be up to the parents to decide if their kid should be exposed to that type of content, and to content about pedophilia, rape. Okay, so Joy Reid actually was condoning those books, according to the Post Millennial. Joy Reid pressed the question of why liberal parents can't have the right to allow their children to be able to read the book All Boys Aren't Blue, which has topics concerning anal rape, incest, strap-on dildos, and many other things that are not, some would say, are not appropriate to many. I mean, many parents of school children will say that these topics, anal rape, incest, strap-on dildos, in any kind of context, are appropriate for children, school age children. Okay, so she argued that passages about these topics are taken out of context in school board meetings. And the Moms for Liberty gal, Justice, the last name is Justice, first name Tiffany. So Tiffany explained that the book is about a young man who's anally raped by a family member when he's a child. And she asked, hey, in what context is a strap-on dildo okay and acceptable for public school? In what context would that be okay? Because I think in no context should it be okay. And that's what Tiffany was trying to argue. But we've got to take a listen to this. It's a bit lengthy, but you guys are going to really be shocked that we've got Joy Reid condoning these topics in public school. Here we go.
The question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
What a tragic story of a young man who's anally raped by his adult family member. So you have incest, rape, pedophilia. Joy, you said you'd let me answer, so I'm going to answer
Please
for
do.
you. In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
So now you've asked me questions.
Sure.
I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
Well, who is the main character? What's the name of the main character in All Boys Aren't Blue?
You're asking me right now.
You just gave me very specific information about this book, so you're presenting yourself as somebody expert.
It's the gentleman.
Hold on. Who's the main character in the book?
The main character is the author.
What's his name?
George, I believe, is his first name.
Because you're giving me very specific information that is.
You're asking me to remember the name of an author.
You
the
just
name of the
remembered
author
very
doesn't.
specific name.
Joy.
Here's my
We're
question.
talking about
Here's my question.
You didn't answer my question.
No. I'm going to answer. Your
Great.
question.
I would love to hear that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it goes on for much longer period of time, but I'm going to spare you that, and I'm just going to kind of fill in the blanks here. So I know you know, and any sensible person knows that there's no such thing as context when it comes to exposing children to a strap-on dildo. Up until a couple of years ago, these sorts of things would be called grooming. Okay, but now people like Joy Reid want the masses to believe that this is somehow brave. Okay, so this is how deranged these people are. They think that this is brave. Reid had not much of anything to say when Justice asked her. She did not answer the question. Tell me what content around the strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor by a teacher of a minor child by a teacher should be allowed in school. Tell me the content around that. Tell me what kind of context a strap-on dildo is acceptable to teach about or to expose children to in a public school setting. Rather, she pulled Reed, she didn't answer the question. She pulled the usual leftist tactic, and you have to recognize this when you are having a conversation with a leftist. She'll dodge the question and then she'll shoot back a random question that has zero significance or relevance. I mean, she is just throwing out these ad hominem attacks. Okay, and she's not being honest. And this is what she this was like an attempt at a gotcha moment, and she was asking Tiffany Justice, the Moms for Liberty gal, the name of the main character of the book. Justice answered the question correctly, but that doesn't matter. Even if she answered it incorrectly, it should still not matter. Okay, because this has zero significance to the conversation they're having, which is, hey, is it appropriate to have this kind of thing in public schools, no matter the context? And Reed, she had to go with the script, folks, and tell Justice that she was not an expert in dildos. Okay, she goes, that she's not she's not an expert. Yep, that was her best attempt that she had up her sleeve. Okay, that was the gotcha moment. You're not an expert. Okay, this is a quote from Joy Reid in that interview. I don't need to be, or from Justice in response to Joy Reid accusing her of not being an expert when it comes to these topics. She goes, I don't need to be an expert to know that dildos aren't appropriate context or content for public schools. That's correct. You don't have to be an expert. And actually, this is a common fallacy used by leftists. They use this and they resort to this appeal to authority fallacy to try to discredit people when they're right. Okay, similar to when they referred to the experts during the pandemic. Ironically, those experts got pretty much everything wrong. Okay, we know that now. And because these people use that argument when they've lost the debate or have nothing to say, they use that when they have nothing else to say and when they know they're wrong. Reed even tried to say that because Justice had never met the writer of the All Boys Aren't Blue book, she doesn't know what she's talking about. Okay, she doesn't have to be an expert. You don't have to meet the author of the book to know that the book is not appropriate for school-age children. All of this logically is equivalent to someone saying that they can't say they're tired because they're not a sleep expert or they're not a sleep doctor. This morning, you might feel pretty tired. It's okay to say you're tired, even though you're not a sleep doctor or a sleep expert. Quite frankly, you don't need to be an expert to claim that exposing children to these books is evil. All right, I do have to take a quick break. You're listening to The Morning Buzz. Find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Henry, I love it. Kat, there's no joy in Joy Reid, but this story does need to be made public. Yeah, there is no joy in talking about Joy Reid, but unfortunately, sometimes we just got to have these conversations. I'm back in just a little bit. Woo! Hey, good morning. This is the Morning Buzz. Are you buzzed up on coffee? Buzzed up on news? Well, in the 8 o'clock hour, I'm very excited because guess what? It's time for Tax Tip Tuesday. Yes, Tax Tip Tuesday, brought to you by Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. So he's the guy who lives and breathes taxes. And I mean, what kind of guy gets excited about talking about exemptions, credits, and deductions? That's Rick Johnson. No, he's not center stage at some sort of cocktail party. I get that, but he's really in his element at Tax and Accounting Plus, and he's going to be joining me at about 8:06 on Cities 92.9. Have you got a question for Rick Johnson about your taxes? He'll be happy to answer them directly. Email him, rick at taxaccountingplus.com, and find all of our tax tips every Tuesday. We do them every Tuesday right here on air. Find them at cities929.com under the podcast section. So before we took a break, we were talking a little bit about Joy Reid. I'm sorry about that. I always feel terrible when we have to talk about Joy Reid. Henry, he was in the comments section on YouTube, and he says, Kat, there's no joy in talking about Joy Reid, but sometimes we just got to plow through these stories, and this story needs to be made public because people need to know that Joy Reid actually on air, on TV, condoned pedophilia. Okay, so I'm glad that we got to that story. We do have to talk about this. Klaus Schwab wanting to take your right to vote away because AI is going to be better at predictions, and he wants to do away with democracy. The left will continue to say that you're against democracy and you're for this fascist Donald Trump. What's hilarious is these people are actually attacking democracy. Actually, he doesn't want to do elections anymore. Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum said that he wants AI in charge of determining our elections. So Klaus Schwab actually there saying that he wants to say goodbye to democracy and that AI should be making our decisions for us when it comes to our elected leaders. Now, Klaus Schwab is one of these people. He's got an opinion about everything, and he was elected by no one. So he went as far as to claim that AI can predict the future. I want to be very clear before I play this clip of Klaus Schwab here. AI is made by programmers. They are the ones who program it. AI is not this magical thing that operates on its own. AI is believed to be at the behest of programmers. And as it stands, AI is dangerously woke. So I've got to take a quick break. But when we come back, we will be talking a little bit about this. And then we're going to be visiting with Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. Stay tuned and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Kat Peterson 929. Good morning, friends. Hey, if you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. A little bit later, we will talk about Ron DeSantis and how his influencers and the people around him contributed to his demise. Now, there's a spicy tweet out there from Ron DeSantis, and I'm worried that he is going to be a sore loser about this still. And he's going to continue to whine that he did not win. And it's not a good look. I'm still not ready to fully accept Ron DeSantis and what he has done to the party and what he continues to do to the party. The eve before the first primary in the nation, he has this tweet out there that is kind of a dig at President Donald Trump. So we're going to have to talk about that. Smash the like button, share this with your friends, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's Cat Peterson 929. Don't forget to like the video. Like the video. It's a big help to us here at Cities. And I've got some closures, cancellations. We're under a winter weather advisory. That fog is going to be crazy because this weather is going to get pretty warm pretty quick. It's going to be about 37 degrees for the high today. So thank a snowplow operator today because they were out there salting the roads and made my commute very, very simple or easy. I had to go very slow. What really makes me nervous is when people like go way, way too fast for the conditions. But I made it here safe and sound. And we're going to be talking with Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus 2. So go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe today. So Klaus Schwab, he's got an opinion on everything, and he was elected by no one, and he wants us to say bye-bye to democracy, and he wants everything as far as our decisions to be left up to or AI. And that's pretty screwed up. Let's take a listen to the clip here, and then we'll chat about it. Here we go.
Digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
Wowza. Wowza. So there you have it. Klaus Schwab actually saying, hey, we know what the results will be. We can have AI pick whatever leader it predicts. And yeah, I'm sure he would love to have AI pick whatever leader that he demands AI pick. Okay, so don't forget that AI is programmed by people. People can program it to predict whatever they want. Okay, so this is painfully infuriating and evil. And no matter how much Klaus Schwab wants to convince the masses here that AI is psychic, we all know that the dang thing is not God. Okay, AI is not God. And it's comical, it's asinine that he thinks that we should just take these people's word for it that AI is the best thing and that they have accurate predictions. And look, it's AI serves one master at any given time. That master can be changed by the millisecond. It could be changed by, could be the engineers who are the master of AI. It could be the hacker. It could be a shareholder. It doesn't matter. These people want us to believe that AI is perfect and it can do no wrong. And words can't describe my disgust for the World Economic Forum, where they're deciding to do away with our elections. Klaus Schwab said, we'll know what the results will be. And yeah, I'm sure he will know, being that he's the one who decides what AI is going to pick. I know Schwab is an arrogant tyrant who is trying to rule all the nations, but unfortunately for him, we have one ruler. for all of the earth. And I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say, I don't think it's anybody from the World Economic Forum. That I can say for certain, that we have one ruler for all the earth, and it's not Klaus Schwab. Okay. I do want to switch gears. Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus. He's the guy who lives and breathes taxes. And I'm excited because we're going to talk about, one, when does the IRS start accepting returns? And two, we're going to talk about some fun things as far as the tax rates and tax brackets, and then the standard deduction. So, Rick Johnson, welcome to the program. It's Tax Tip Tuesday, everybody.
Hi, Kat. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Glad to be here. Hope everybody is staying warm. The forecast for our tax season so far has been very wet and cold, but it's starting to warm up. And as we head to the tax season startup, it's going to become much, much nicer. Now, the startup is that the IRS is going to be accepting returns on January the 29th. Now, by the way, keep in mind that doesn't mean you have to wait till the 29th. If you have all your information, and that is a big if you have all your information, which I would doubt that most people do, but some will, there's nothing stopping you from going ahead and getting your return prepared or preparing it and having it ready to send on the 29th, so you can be one of the first ones through the system to get your big refund. So keep that in mind. And as Kat said, we're going to talk about tax rates. And the reason I chose to talk about tax rates today is because people get a little bit confused on how the rates in the brackets work. So we have exactly 7 tax rates for basically 4 tax brackets. Now you have singles, or single person, a married filing joint person, along with qualifying widower. Those go together. Head of household and married filing separately. So I'm going to choose married filing joint as my example for the day. Within married filing joint and the other tax brackets, there are 7 tax rates. Those rates start out at 10%, excuse me, and go up to 30%, 37% and over. Now, the way that this works is for married filing joint, the first tax bracket here for 23 goes up to $22,000. Now, keep in mind that is not earnings, that is taxable income. So the first $22,000 of taxable income will be taxed at 10%. Then from $22,001, it will be taxed up to $89,450 of taxable income will be taxed at 12%. And that just goes all the way up through the 7 tax brackets. A lot of people think that the understanding is that the first bracket is 10%, the second bracket is 12%, but if you go into the 12% bracket, then all the income is taxed at 12%. The 10% gets another 2% added on, and that is not the case. Those brackets are in and of themselves separate, and the 10% will be, like I said, will be taxed on the first $22,000 for a married filing joint, and 12% will be taxed between $22,001 up to $89,450, and that is on the married filing joint. So that's how tax rates and tax brackets work. Now, last but not least, this is good news here. The standard deduction, it's gone up for a single person, for married filing joint, for all of them, head of household and married filing separate. Now, the standard deduction is something that what happens is the IRS says, okay, you're going to file single, so we're going to give you this much to deduct off your return. Your married filing joint, we're going to give you this much to deduct off your return. And there's nothing that you need to do to prove anything, except maybe for the fact that you were single or that you're married, okay? And that goes on through married filing separately and qualifying widower as well. Now, if you're single, you get this year an extra $900 to deduct if you choose to take the standard deduction. And let me just add in here too, if you can itemize, which we're going to talk about that in future weeks here, if you can itemize your expenses and come up with a bigger deduction than the standard, okay, then you can deduct the itemized expenses instead. All right. So back to the standard deduction, single went up $900, married filing joint and qualifying widower went up $1,800, head of household went up $14, and married filing separately went up $900. Now, that's just extra money now that you can deduct off and not pay tax on. So late Merry Christmas from Uncle Sam. And that is what I have today for Tax Tip Tuesday.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Rick Johnson from Tax Accounting Plus. Really quick, I know this is probably something you've got planned for later weeks, but I know somebody. So she owns a business and she operates that business in a room in her house. Now, this room, she was telling me over the phone what she does every year is she will kind of divide her utilities, her gas, her electric, and divide that by, I think it was like 20% or something. And then she deducts, hey, this is my business and I operate out of this house or out of my house. And, she writes off, I mean, her electricity, her utilities, and she's got a spreadsheet of how much she spends on her business via, and I don't know if you can do that even if you're, it's not your own business, but you just work from home. COVID has changed a lot of things. People work from home a lot of the time now. And I just was curious, have you, is that something you guys take care of at Tax and Accounting Plus?
Yeah, what you're referring to is office and home. And your office and home, we will be discussing that later, but just as a kind of a brief summary, if you are self-employed or have your own business, then you can take those expenses for your office and your home. Unfortunately, back in 2018, when the new laws came into effect, there are no expenses allowed that's out of pocket that you incur while working as an employee. So if you have an office and home and working as an employee for, let's say, State Farm, like I said, remote or whatever, you're not allowed to take any of those expenses. Now, in 2025, that the end of those particular code changes come into effect, and they'll have to decide if they're going back, they're going to maintain it, or do whatever. But until tax year 2025, employees will not be able to take that expense. Now, if you're self-employed, then you can, like I said, the office and home has to be used regularly and exclusively for your business. In other words, so there has to be some division. It can't be in a bedroom that you use as a bedroom or in your living room or sitting at your kitchen table. It has to be used exclusively for business. There's a few other things that go along with that, but it's a nice deduction. And if you have one room compared to 7, then you take 1 divided by 7, and that's your percentage. Or if you have a room that's a square foot is 12 by 12 and it's 144 square feet, and your house is 2,000 square feet, take the 144 divided by 2,000, and that gives you the percentage you can take of all expenses related to the office and home. Utilities, mortgage interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, repairs and maintenance affecting the entire home. And you can also, anything you do to the office itself, like maybe you add a desk or you fix an electrical outlet or something of that nature, that is 100% because it's done just directly to the office and home.
Interesting. Cool. Well, I'm sorry I jumped ahead, but I came into contact with somebody and she was like, I hear your Tax Tip Tuesdays with Rick Johnson, and I'm just kind of curious what he's got to say about it. And so Tax and Accounting Plus, if you guys have any questions, just directly ask Rick yourself. Rick, you all right with that if I give your email out?
Yeah, that's just fine.
It's Rick at taxaccountingplus.com. And how do we find out more about Tax and Accounting Plus, Rick Johnson?
You can go to the website, taxandaccountingplus.com, and you could give us a call at 309-827-4010.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Rick Johnson. You have a great rest of your Tuesday and stay warm out there.
All right. Thank you, Kat.
All right, folks, we're back in just a couple of minutes. We're going to come back, talk a little bit about CJ Stroud because he doubles down on his love for Jesus Christ, despite being censored by NBC Sports. They suffered a crushing loss on Sunday. The Houston Texans quarterback, CJ Stroud, had praise for Jesus still, and he was asked about it actually during a post-game presser. So that's next on The Buzz. Good morning, folks. Hey, if you're listening, go ahead and smash the like button. Can you hear me okay? Let me know in the comments section. I've been getting some reports of feedback. So go ahead, smash that like button, and let me know in the comments section if you can hear me okay. We're back in just about 40 seconds. Interesting. Let me know, folks, on the text line 309-451-9299. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Rumble. Seems like my audio is good there, but for some odd reason, you might be experiencing some static. It could be because of the weather. If there's ice or if it's really extreme cold, that can really screw up our signal. So always listen on the app, or you can find me live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and get all of the shows archived every single morning, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The Morning Buzz. Thank you to Rick Johnson from Tax and Accounting Plus, Tax Tip Tuesday. That podcast will be made available to you on cities99.com. You can also check out the closings, cancellations, and delays. A lot of schools are closed and they're learning remotely today. That's District 87, Hayworth. We've got Leroy, Unit 5, Olympia, Thomas Metcalf, Trinity Lutheran School in Bloomington. They canceled their classes. So yeah, it's nasty out there. It's very wet, very cold. There was a winter advice, or well, is until about 9 a.m. I think posted for this morning for freezing rain. But what I'm worried about is that patchy fog thickening up. So there's going to be a high near 37. And then there's going to be some fog tomorrow morning. Expect that chance of precipitation tomorrow as well. So before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about Klaus Schwab, and then I was telling you guys about DeSantis. So DeSantis influencers and his advisors, they were a huge part of his demise. And I hope that Ron can rein in people and unite them to beat this crazy bunch of incompetents that we've got in charge right now. But I don't know. The more and more I think about it, especially after this tweet. This tweet is disturbing. It comes from Ron DeSantis, and it's more than just a tweet because he's posted it now on all of his social media. He's drawing attention to it. It's this tweet where Ron DeSantis takes a swipe at President Donald Trump on X one day after endorsing him. So he endorses him yesterday. And here it is, the tweet here. He goes, but not all Floridian Republicans, but not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen. So Politico, they put out this article and it talks about how some Florida Republicans want taxpayers to pay Trump's legal bills. Now, this is something that is, a little interesting because it's not like going to take it right out of the taxpayer's pocket. Okay. So this is something that, is probably every year on your taxes, you'd be asked the question, do you want to donate $3 to the Trump campaign to cover his legal expenses in the state of Florida? That might be what the legislator has in the state of Florida. And Ron DeSantis is obviously against it. And then he takes a swipe at Donald Trump and he says, some Republicans want taxpayers to pay for Trump's legal bills. And then he takes a swipe and he says, but not the Florida Republican who wields the veto pen. So that's interesting. And, it's kind of sad to see him kind of be a sore loser about this. He dropped out. He endorsed Donald Trump. which was a great move. I've always said this, hey, play this. Politics is like a game of chess. If you're out or if there's no path to victory and you know there's no path to victory, just take your chess piece and lay it down and lose with grace. I was disappointed in Ron DeSantis because he wasn't doing that. And it was very clear that there was no path to victory, but yet he still stayed in the race. And I was going to be very disappointed if he stayed through in New Hampshire. Their primary is tonight. But that because really, if Ron DeSantis stayed in, that means that there's no clear path to victory. Now, there's an unclear path to victory where Ron DeSantis might be the nominee if, he got like this miracle from the courts that indicted President Donald Trump and convicted him. Maybe that would change things up and allow a President Ron DeSantis, which would be very dishonest and it would be a icky way of winning the presidency. And I don't know why he put this tweet out here, because this is almost against what he said yesterday. Yesterday, he says that Trump is superior to the current incumbent Joe Biden. That's clear. And I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear. Okay, so Ron, he took the high road there, but like now he's getting down into the trenches here and he's trying to, take a swipe at President Trump still. And President Trump, he's been, gracious and even said, hey, I'm going to retire the name DeSanctimonious. And, I don't know. I think that this is terrible for the party. It makes it to where it's harder. It's much harder for Trump to get after the Democrats and Nikki Haley, who is a Democrat. I repeat myself. It makes it harder because now we're not united. I hope that Ron starts to unite the party and not divide it. I do have to take a quick break, but when we come back, I've got the story about a teacher who has been charged with attempted murder, allegedly captured on video. Okay, so she was adding a toxic plant to her husband's smoothie. There's also this story out of Joliet that I wanted to talk about. I don't think the mainstream media is going to discuss this story, but I will. And I had a couple of people calling me. I'm from the area there in Joliet. His name is Romeo Nance. And there was a manhunt underway for him last night in Joliet, Illinois, after he reportedly went to 2 locations and killed at least 7 people and injured several more. And he was in like this Toyota Corolla, and he's like smiling in this mugshot. And, the media, this story is going to quickly go away. It's going to disappear. And I'm not going to let it disappear because, he was out on bail killing another woman in 2023. That's 9 murders. Okay. So I think he wound up killing 7 people, 8 people. This story is alive and well and gaining steam in Chicago area. So we're going to chat about that. Joliet, it's only an hour away from here. So we'll be back next. Good morning. Hey, if you're watching, go ahead and smash the like button. Danny, you're so right. AI is a machine. Is a machine that makes Klaus Schwab a villain in real life. Klaus Vader. I kind of like what you did there. Yeah, Darth Vader. This guy, you have to keep in mind, he's never been elected. Okay, and he's got opinions about everything, right down to the details of what kind of stove you should be using, what kind of food you should be eating, and nobody asked him, right? Nobody wants him to, plague the world with his opinions. He's never been elected, and he wants to dominate the world, and he wants to use AI to do that because he wants to get rid of elections and democracy, and he wants to use AI where they program it to predict their leaders and the leaders that they want. I'm back next. Woohoo! Good morning. Hey, this is the Morning Buzz. Yes, after a crushing loss on Sunday, Houston Texans quarterback CJ Stroud, he had praise for Jesus Christ. And he was asked about it actually during a post-game presser. So some background here. This all stems from the controversy with NBC Sports because NBC Sports, they're the network who censored his live comments praising Jesus when he won a game. So CJ Stroud, this is what he said. He said, first and foremost, I want to give all glory and praise to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I'm going to play the clip for you. See if you can spot the edit and the censorship here. Here we go. Let's take a listen.
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for as short as I've been, but the love that I've got, I've really just been doing it for Houston, man. People back home, I'm blessed enough to be in the position I am and blessed enough to be playing at a high level right now. And we got to just keep it going, but I'm super blessed.
CJ, your first playoff game in your first NFL season and a record-setting performance for you. What does this moment mean?
I mean, it's been amazing being in this city for
So they censored it. They cut it up and they made it sound like he had a lot of love for the city, right? And not Jesus Christ. Okay. I mean, they, you know, took his comments out, and this digital team, mind you, it's probably ran out of New York City where they hate Jesus unless they're claiming he's a Palestinian. CJ Stroud, had he praised Planned Parenthood or Biden 2024 or Pfizer, I'm sure the digital team would have kept it in. The person who made this edit is probably bitter that he didn't get to edit the Texas or didn't get to edit a game where Taylor Swift was at that game. He got stuck editing the Texas game instead, and it was a terrible jump cut. Like professional to professional, dude. Whoever edited on the digital team at NBC Sports edited this. It was a very unprofessional editing job. So here we go. We've got him being asked about his love for Jesus after losing to the Ravens on Sunday, and what he kind of thought about NBC censoring him and censoring his comments that he made about Jesus Christ being his Lord and Savior. Let's take a listen here to the post-game presser.
I've gotten a lot of great people who have reached out, and even guys after games, like who are who just talk about like how I mentioned God and Christ and things like that. And I always tell people it's not me, you know what I'm saying? It's him. Like it's nothing I can do to ever repay what the Lord has done in my life, you know, and I don't want to. I just want to act in what he's called me to do, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every day, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I know the God that I serve is a forgiving and graceful God, and I can just appreciate that. And even like Coach Harbaugh, even saying that after they beat us, like you can just see like there's a lot of us out here too that love the Lord, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I appreciate everybody who reaches out, and I'm not doing it to look cool or whatever. I'm doing it because that's what God called me to do. I've got.
Wowza. Now, he does share some comments here about the Joe Harbaugh, and how the coach read scripture prior to taking questions. I'm going to share those with you as well. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
meaningful to me, so I'm going to share it with you because I think it's the right thing to do. And it's a verse. Greatness, power, glory, victory, and honor belong to you, because everything in heaven and on earth belongs to you. The kingdom belongs to you, Lord. You are the head and the ruler over everything. So there's an amazing spirit on this team, and I just want to kind of give honor and glory where it's due. With that, being here, I just want to start off with this.
So there's those comments. And folks, anytime a public figure has the courage to speak about Jesus, I think it's a good thing. It's frustrating, though, that it's considered such a weird and unpopular thing to do. Reporters will ask questions, and they'll ask questions as if you're the odd one, as if these public figures who talk about Jesus are the odd ones. They'll say things like, "You talk about Jesus a lot. What's that all about?" Like, "You're weird." Why? So CJ Stroud is in his rookie year, and he already has the courage and conviction to profess his faith so publicly. Uh, he's in a position to inspire others, and Stroud looks like he's ready for that role. He looks like he's ready for that role, and I'm excited to see what he does. And he's already, I mean, the Ravens coach, who beat his team. CJ Stroud's team, the coach was talking about Jesus. So there's something happening here, and I'm here for it. I'm excited. I do have to take a break here in just a couple of minutes. But before I do, I want to get to this story. It's kind of a fun one. It's about Chapstick. Okay. So Burt's Bees, they came out with this weird flavors of chapsticks. And I can think of a million flavors of chapsticks that would probably kind of taste good. When it comes to cosmetics and skincare, the masses tend to lean towards something sweet rather than savory, and that's just how humans have adapted over time. My chapstick, it is bubblegum flavor, I think, and then I think I got like a mint one or something. But Burt's Bees, they have disagreed with this sentiment of, sweet rather than savory when it comes to chapstick. They've broken massive barriers with this one, and my faith in humanity has reached a whole new level of disappointment, a level of disappointment I could never have imagined. But Burt's Bees, they've got 4 new flavors of chapstick out there. They're ranch, carrots, buffalo, and celery. Yes, we all know what they did there. These are crimes against buffalo wings, and it's unlikely that Burt's Bees and Hidden Valley Ranch are going to be held accountable for their actions. But here's the story from CNN. What started out as an April Fool's joke ended up being a real life product popular enough to sell out in one day. So Burt's Bees, Hidden Valley Ranch, they announced a collaboration together, and they released this set of lip balms that taste like a basket of chicken wings. So, like I said, buffalo sauce, celery, carrots, and of course the trademarked Hidden Valley Ranch. On their website, they say not for consumption, obviously. And, this past week, they sold out of these lip balm flavors, and they were selling them as a pack for $11.99. That's pretty expensive for some lip balm. And I know you're like, oh gosh, is this fake news? No, it's not. I know, I pulled the story from CNN, but shockingly, it's not the case. Chicken wings are meant to be eaten, nothing more, nothing less. This is truly an abomination, and I can't even comprehend how this is legal. But the fact that people are walking around with their lips tasting like ranch and like carrots, it's revolting, and I just can't really grasp it. And I started looking at the product reviews, and those are wild. Here's one that I really like. I'm on a diet, and this is perfect for me to stay on track on my diet. I love the smell of ranch and the taste, and just having it available on my lips helps me stay focused on my diet goals. Oh boy. So the moral of the story here, folks, don't take chicken wings for granted, because some bird-minded company is going to come along and ruin an American staple that we all cherish, and that's what they did. This bird-minded company, Burt's Bees, they did it. They ruined chicken wings, and I'm just disturbed by it. All right, I do have to take a quick break, but we're back next.
like this. Ron DeSantis drops out after losing a few contests in a row. He simply runs out of money and has to head back to Florida. And at that point, liberal donors swing as a block behind Nikki Haley, giving her bottomless resources. That's already happening right now. And then critically, Donald Trump goes to jail. And at that point, bam, Nikki Haley wins the Republican nomination by default. Now, it's not a foolproof plan. A lot could go wrong. But at this point, it's the only plan. It's all that Democrats have. Joe Biden is going to have a very hard time getting reelected, much less serving another term. Yet the party cannot replace him because that would leave Kamala Harris, who is even more unpopular than he is. So their only option at this point is to run a Republican who has the same views as Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And that is exactly what they're doing right now, no matter what they tell you. And that candidate's name is Nikki Haley.
Oh, Nikki Haley. Never Nikki. All right. She's basically Hillary Clinton. Okay. This is the liberal ploy. And you have to start to ask yourself, was this the plan all along with Ron DeSantis? Who approached Ron DeSantis? Who had him run in the first place? Because, this is interesting. I mean, DeSantis takes a swipe at President Donald Trump on X just one day after endorsing him. Okay, so he was taking the stage in New Hampshire, and DeSantis posted a jab on his Twitter, and you have to start to ask yourself, is this his goal? Like, Ron tweeted this before he took the stage on the eve of the first primary in the nation, and, Ron doesn't want unity for the general, I don't think, with this tweet. And then he goes a step further and he posts it on Instagram, and he makes a big deal out of this post. And I don't know, this is a whiny sore loser tweet. And I don't think that this is about legislation. And I think that he's upset that he lost, and he's not actually going to unify the party when he said that's what he was going to do after endorsing President Donald Trump. But I don't know. It's interesting. Nikki Haley, she's going to swing in and grab all these Democrat votes. They're going to come in and they're going to try to vote for Nikki Haley in this primary. And New Hampshire is like Illinois in the sense that you don't have to be a registered Republican or a registered Democrat. You can go in and pull a Democrat ballot if you've, voted for Republican traditionally, and you can go in and pull a Democrat ballot, and vice versa. If you're a Democrat and you vote traditionally for Democrats, you can go in and pull a Republican ballot. Now in Iowa, I think that's different, because I actually read somewhere that they ran out of the form that you need to fill out if you're a registered Republican and you want to go vote Dem. You have to fill out a form to, kind of rescind your registration, and you have to change over your registration and register as a Democrat. Then you vote Democrat in that primary. So it's going to be interesting for sure, the primary tonight in New Hampshire. Before we took the break, I was telling you guys a little bit about a woman, and I don't think I'm going to get to the story, but here is the headline. A teacher out of Missouri charged with attempted murder, allegedly captured on video, adding a toxic plant to her husband's smoothie. Yes, the man set up a hidden camera in his own home because he had thought that his wife was messing with his smoothie, and it turns out that his assumptions were correct, and she hasn't been convicted of it yet, but she was putting a toxic plant into his smoothie. So another teacher doing something evil, but this time it was off school grounds, folks. So yeah, her name was Sarah Sheffer. She was 37, and she was arrested for a first-degree domestic assault charge, and then she's been charged by the prosecuting attorney in Cole County, and she was charged with attempted murder in the first degree and armed criminal action, both felonies. And it's unclear why this woman would do such an evil thing to her husband, but she did admit that she knew that the plant was toxic and that it had the potential to kill him. Yikes. She also had has a boyfriend in Pakistan. So that may or may not be safe to assume that, that has something to do with the motive. So more on that story. Maybe we'll hear developments tomorrow, but either way, visit the YouTube channel tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., or tune in to Cities 92.9. This has been the Morning Buzz. Up next after me, it's Glenn Beck, Dan Bongino, Sean Hannity, Mark Levin, and Markley Van Camp and Robbins. Bye-bye. Love you. Stay safe and stay warm, and be careful on those roads.